I got it. Okay. Okay. Okay, if I could, I'd like to call the finance portion of our committee together. And if I can, one of the first actions I'd like to take is for us three committee members. We met on March 31st. And so all three of us have seen the minutes of the meeting. And I'd like to go ahead and get out of the way and call for approval of the minutes of our committee meeting. So I'd entertain a motion.
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion at this point? Hearing none, I'd like to call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, at this point, I'd like to ask Mr. Errol Morrison to come up and start walking us through the financial report.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Governor Landis, Finance Committee members. I have a presentation as often, as always, right, for you. I have several things, and I'll try to move through these as hurriedly as possible. Feel free to stop me with any questions, comments, concerns you have as we move through this committee meeting. The first thing I'd like for us to do is just review the agenda for this afternoon's meeting. Well, I have a financial, we've approved our minutes. We have a financial update for the current fiscal year. We have 4 bids that we'll be seeking approval on. And then, of course, we have our FY22 operating budget for the university. I'll begin with the finance update for the current fiscal year. As you may recall, back in January, the last time we met as a board in totality, the financial presentation talked about a $4.5 million shortfall for this year after the spring enrollment numbers had arrived. Since that time, and I just want to reiterate and update you again, we have added revenues to our budget. We have also reduced some expenses, and I've listed these out on the screen here for you across campus. And that has brought us to a balanced budget for the current fiscal year. The other thing I would add is that in your board book, you have the budget to actual numbers. I think these are on page 47, begin on page 47 of the Board of Governors book. I have just a summary page before you. At your seat, there should be an update of information that clears up a function error that I had in my Excel sheet, as well as a footing error. And for those that you may not be familiar with the accounting term of footing, that just means it didn't add up. Okay. But please note these adjustments in your book, and you do have the corrected copy before you. As we move forward through these, the bottom line did not change from the replacement attachment for your board book, but there were a couple of numbers that did change. Okay. And so for fiscal year 21, as it stands currently, we began this year with almost a $4 million deficit. We have added revenues, we have reduced expenses, we've done a lot of things, and we currently stand, as of the end of March, $13,000 shortfall. And so I feel certain that we will have a positive number for the year when the year ends. Okay. You might look at the actual number and see that we are $12 million to the good in actual revenues through the third quarter. And as a way of comparison, just to give you an idea on how that looks, I have gone back to that same point in time from 1 year ago. And our budget numbers are on top. At that point in time, we were projecting 2.6 deficit in our budget. Right now it's 13. That's a shift of $2.6 million in budget. Okay. But look at the actual revenues as well. From an actual standpoint, last year we were at 8.7 to the good. Currently we stand at 12.7. Okay. So that's a $4 million swing in a year. Okay. It has not been easy, but it has been very needful. And I just want to say to each of you this afternoon, how much I appreciate the support and the tough decisions that you've had to make, and the decisions that myself and our president and my colleagues have had to make to get us to where we are. Are we out of the woods? That's a question I keep hearing, right? Not yes, but we're getting closer. And we'll talk more about that as we proceed. Okay. The other slide that I'd like to point out to you is our cash position. From 2 years ago, we're up $3.5 million. Okay. And up 1.1 from this time a year ago. So that's moving in the right direction. Okay. So any questions, comments about the FY21? If not, look for a motion to approve. Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, I'll ask us as committee members, as far as, because we've went in our committee, we went through this whole thing pretty good and talked about it a lot less or no, more, excuse me. So I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on it?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes,
What does prior year funds mean?
that's reserve funds. We have lab fees, course fees, or designated funds that are set aside. So they're pulling reserve funds up to make expenditure.
And the money's really there? or
The money is there. Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman,
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
we just like a little bit of clarification, maybe for all of us or those listening or watching in, a point of order. This is the Finance Committee meeting,
Right.
which you're the chair and Governor Norton and Governor Wallaman are the members of. And so that's why the motions and the whatnot are coming from that group only. But the entire board is participating in the meeting. So any of us, Governor Barry, Schoonover, Ebersol, or myself, are all welcome to ask questions and
Absolutely.
interject. We want to. We will not be voting on that. We will vote as a board in our regular meeting
Correct.
to accept your stuff. I just want to make sure that those at home understand as well as all of us, because we are learning the committee process. It's important to all of us that we're making this, want this to be a vital part of our governance, but we are pretty new with the process. We're all kind of learning. I know I had keep kind of forgetting the process, and we want to work together for the betterment of all, but just as clarification.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Back to the committee. Is there, go ahead,
Well,
Bob.
the only thing I had about a comment is how the revenues actually did grow a little bit and our expenses have come in much lower. And I know there's been a lot of effort in that, and I know there's been a lot of sacrifice. And I
There
just
has.
would like to acknowledge those who've been working so diligently on it to compliment them and your guidance in this particular arena.
Well, I think, and we've said this numerous times, the MWSU Foundation has been very supportive of us through this time at campus and doing that. Appreciate Dr. Looney, who's been serving as the interim leader there, and the executive committee of the foundation board have been very supportive of our efforts. So very thankful for that.
Where does that money show up in here? Does it?
It's down below in the gives area. Okay.
Any more questions? Discussion? I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? By the way, I'm saying aye too. here, so, okay. Errol?
Okay. Next, we'll move into some bid requests. The first bid request is 21-041 is for carpeting for Scanlon Hall. This should be in your board book as well. The rationale for the bid is that the carpet is showing a lot of wear and tear due to guest occupancy and various things. This is the hall that is the primary residence for the Kansas City Chiefs when they're here on for training camp. We'll be funding this with university repair and replacement funds, which we currently have set aside for this. The total amount of the project is $316,147.76. I would take questions, comments, or entertain a motion to approve this bid.
Is there any questions?
Where there was no bid on like Eckerd's,
No, no bids. That's correct.
they just didn't.
Some
respond to
people, yeah,
that.
some people did not respond, and there's more detail in your booklet about the bids received and things like that. Yes.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Then I'll take a motion for approval.
Daryl, excuse me, you said that
Okay.
you had this money set aside. Is this
Yes.
some of the capital money that we received from the state?
It is not. It is not. This is dipping into what little reserve we do still have in order to make this happen, to meet some contractual obligations that we have. We are hopeful to receive some additional funding in the new fiscal year that we could replenish these funds with.
Once again, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Well, then I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Okay. The next is, again, Scanlon Hall. This is to refresh the painting in Scanlon Hall. It is bid 21-042. Again, the same funding source on this. We have a bid from Hallowell Painting Construction for $309,500. Entertain a motion to approve or take questions or comments.
Okay. Once again, call for a motion,
So
So-
moved.
a second. Okay. Any discussion? By the way, questions are still open to others, but hearing no discussion, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So approved.
Okay, the next is bid 21-046 for Murphy Hall and Hearn Center roof repairs. Both of these have leaks in the roof. They've well extended their life. Some are in excess of 30 years old on the roofs. We're recommending that we accept the bids from Delta Innovative Services in the amount of $800,000 plus a contingency. For the total amount of this project of $832,000. And this is funding that will come from the capital appropriations that we received earlier this year. That was one of the projects on our list from the state. And we're very grateful for that.
Well, I'm going to ask a question.
Yes.
When you go in, procedurally, and you got a base bid 1 and a base bid 2, in the case, so you're going to accept one or the other.
Generally speaking, yes.
And which in this case, you affect. But Hausman elected not to bid the base bid to Hearns, correct? There's no
Yes.
bid.
Yes.
In some respects, being a contractor, that would be considered non-responsive in a sense. But in factual matter, the fact that since there was no bid there, there's really, you have the full authority to go in here and the overall bid is what is
Yes,
there.
yes, and to your point, we could have taken, if their bid, if base bid one for Murphy had came in under the base bid for Murphy from the other company,
Yeah,
we could have split that and accepted one or the other,
yeah, correct.
things like that.
Yeah. no,
Yes, absolutely.
Just for clarity.
Yes.
So any other questions?
How do we get a bid?
We have to advertise.
Yep.
Okay. And then we also send to listed customers or vendors. We advertise locally of course, and then we send to certified vendors and thing in our area. Yeah, trying to get the word out because sometimes they miss things in the paper
Correct.
and things like that. It's also published on our website. And oftentimes many companies on these things, they have ticklers set up so that when some university posts something, it comes out to them. So they're aware.
But we try to support St. Joseph.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The question was, we always try to support St. Joseph and Buchanan County, our area. Yes, we
Don't
do.
bid, it's kind of hard to support them. but-
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we do. We're feasible.
well, but the local bidders have to be competitive.
Yes,
in that
that's
regard,
correct.
Certainly.
That's
Yeah.
correct. We're in business,
Yeah,
so to
that's right.
speak, right?
Okay, any more questions? Then,
Motion to approve.
Second,
okay, we need to. Hearing no other discussion, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? So approved.
Okay. And the last bid deals with parking lot repairs on our campus. We have a lot of parking lots that have issues. We're hoping to address the worst of the worst, if you will, through it with this. This again is state appropriations that we were given at the first of the year. We have a bid here of $602,390 for the parking lots covered. The total we're asking for contingency. You never know what you'll get into on some of these things. The total project cost is $662,000. We are assuming we will have a little bit of money left. So we're also asking to approve the 275 square foot pricing to do some additional things as money is allowed on this project. If we do it in order to spend all our funds up. Okay? Because actually the bids came under what we thought. And so that's what we're doing here. So questions, comments?
Is there a timeline on any of these renovations?
This one, they're set to go as soon as school is out. Assuming that everything's approved, right?
Yes.
Most of these will happen over the summer months.
Mr. Morrison, do you have either, I don't know, an overlay or just a general description of what parking lots are going to be hit or what percentage of our parking lots are going to be done? And I also assume this doesn't include any streets, correct?
No streets.
Okay.
No streets. The only street that will be done is University. Yes. Which is out in front of Potter Hall out to Mitchell. That is part of it. We've got some other things that we're going to be doing where we have some bad washouts and things like that. So we will be addressing those, but primarily the parking lots. One is here in this building. I can't remember the names on them. It's K and sorry, I don't know. I'll get that for you before we meet in regular session. I can get that.
Haven't had a certain amount of experience over the years with this. Usually what happens is you have somebody on department and they go out and they will draw out exactly what they want to have replaced. And and you've got a set quantity in here, but you also got it to where, like you said, you got more funds.
Right.
So it's determined by, I'm going to call them the engineering department
Yes,
as to
that's
what they're
right.
going to do,
That's correct.
is how it works. So,
Yeah, and I would say that part of what we're doing here is not only the replacement, the grinding down and the replacement of some asphalt. We're going to refresh some. Our parking lots, we haven't sealed them over time. And so for those of you that are familiar with that, you know what I'm referring to. You have to reseal asphalt or it loses in the snow and the salt and the things we experience here in Northwest Missouri. So
We have a substantial amount of expertise on a certain side of the
We-
table.
we
in
do.
this area.
we do, we do,
I know.
we do.
And I have no conflicts. I'm not employed by one of the bidders here anymore. So that makes sense.
So that's where we're at. Okay.
Okay. Once again, no more questions. So I'll call for a motion to approve the bid.
So moved.
Okay. Okay. So hearing no more questions, I'm going to call for the question here. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? So approved.
Okay. Thank you, Governor Landis. Now we'll move to the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget. Okay. You should have, all of you should have received a massive document that looks like this. That is our university budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And we're not going to go through it page by page. Thank you.
Oh, come on.
But let's begin with a couple of different things, right? Let's begin with tuition and fees. And let's talk about what the proposal is for the upcoming year. Okay. First of all, some of you are aware of this. Some of you may not be aware that we are under guidelines by the state of Missouri, the Higher Education Student Funding Act. It is Senate Bill 389. And it determines the maximum amount that a university may increase tuition and fees in a particular year. It's generally based on an average of state tuition and fees plus CPI. There is an allowance in that act, should you not receive all of your state appropriations in a previous period of time, that you can increase that. So as you look at the slide that I have before you, the CPI this year was 1.4%. However, that would equate to $107. But because we were down in state appropriations, we have within our discretion to increase tuition and fees on an annualized amount of an additional $369. Okay. And that is to make up for lost funding not received from the state in prior years. Our proposal includes all of that. The proposal is simply this: per the HESFA guidelines, we are within our guidelines. We are proposing a per credit hour rate increase of $10. Okay. Max experience increase from 5 to 6. SGA will remain the same. Our facilities access fee will go to $13. Our instructional support and technology fee will go from $168 to $557. And basically what that is a way to extrapolate and spread out the increases to various pots on the campus where we need these funds in order for operating. If you look at this summarized on an annual basis, you'll see our current cap is $72,7290. We are proposing going to $77,4960. And our HESFA cap is in the lower left-hand corner of the page, $77,4965. Okay. So we are requesting, because of the loss of revenues that we have experienced from state appropriations, that we not only take CPI, but we also take that and that we stay within the guidelines of the Higher Education Student Funding Act for the coming year. Okay,
Can you go back one slide?
I can. That one,
So is that list, even though there's about 8 bazillion more in the book?
yes,
That is the list that every student pays?
yes,
So if you added
These are-
those all
that
up.
is
and
correct.
get-
that's correct. And they will pay various ones of the other,
Right, I got it.
right? But
But
yes,
not the student support fee? That's not in.
not the
package?
student support fee. The student support fee
Not
comes
changing.
off, let me find that. It comes off because there's a carve out inside the Higher Education Student Funding Act that says if the students of the campus have requested a fee to be put on themselves, then that does not count towards your percentage increases. And the
But still,
and the
every
SSV,
student pays that.
yes, but students
Yeah.
pay it, yes. They do. However, I would say that if we have an online class, our students do not pay the Max Experience, the SGA, the facilities, or the student support fee. They only pay the $50 technology fee, basically. Okay? Additional questions on that?
Well, I'm going to ask a question that I think everybody's probably thinking about.
Okay.
At the end of the day, all of the other colleges in Missouri are looking at the same thing.
Yes.
And at a point in time, it begs the question, with this increase, how does that reflect, to the best of your knowledge, Gerald, about, are we still competitive or where are we
Well,
in the
We
context?
will still be extremely competitive in my estimation. I will tell you from what I have heard, it's not finally approved at this point in time. But I know of 3 of our, for lack of a better term, competitors have requested an exception to the tuition and fee guidelines. Rather than staying in it, they want to go outside, which
It's
will
interesting.
probably mean an increase even more than what we're requesting.
Have we considered that,
Have we considered it?
going outside the guidelines?
We did consider it. We did consider it. That's a fair question. Dr. Kennedy and I discussed it, and some of us on cabinet discussed it as well. And we believe that it's in our best interest to stay within the state guidelines on this. It's no secret that this university's had some financial issues. And for us to try to rectify those financial issues by going outside the realm of the act, I think, personally, I believe, sends a bad message to the community. And so we're staying within the act, doing that, tightening our belt and moving ahead. Okay. Dr. Kennedy, do you have a comment?
Just one quick one. So there's at least one other institution that the reason they're going above their waiver limit is because they are balancing their online and face-to-face tuition. That's something that we did last year.
Last year.
Okay.
So for them to make that work for them, they have to go above that. So there's other considerations, not just let's see how high we
Right.
can request it.
That's
And,
right.
you know, based on some of the survey responses we've got from our students, financial reasons are one of the more important ones when they think about coming back in the fall. So it's a little bit of an offset.
Absolutely. And
Fair
so
enough,
we,
Hannah?
yeah, and we're very cognizant of the fact of what our students are available to pay and some things like that. So that's why our request is as it is. Okay.
I would say it as, we remain an exceptional value.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? I want to walk through, there's several slides of this, and I'll try to go through. If you will note, this is our overall tuition and fee. This is in your budget book. Okay. This is our overall tuition fee, and the red indicates a change in what we're proposing to go to this body. Okay. These are ones that we've previously discussed. We're looking at some program fee adjustments. No lab fee adjustments. I have one adjustment here on this slide for the MSN program that came from the department due to some testing requirements that they're having to pay more for. So it's in line with that. Same thing with the nursing and testing fee up top and the HIM fee and the RN-BSN course fee. And this all deals with testing requirements and the cost to operate those programs. We have a new fee, Cinema Technology and Materials fee, which is $30. This fee is a new fee, but the program fee for that department has been reduced from 63 down to 37. So there's a little bit of trade-off there. The Griffin Edge fee went up. It's normally the same rate as your tuition. Housing, proposing no increase on housing for the coming year.
Feel like you're looking at me.
I thought I might get an amen from you, Governor Teeman.
Almost got a hallelujah.
No, we're not going up on our residence hall for this year. We are going up for our summer. It's been $100 for an extremely period of time. So next summer it will go up $20 for that. And we have removed the housing deposit and we are now charging an application fee, okay, for that. Okay, and the way the application fee works is that we're trying to get a head count so we can properly change and that sort of thing. Everyone pays it. If you, it is refundable to you if you notify us that you're removing yourself from housing prior to July 1. Outside of that, it is non-refundable. Okay?
Do you know
Yes.
approximately what percentage of our res halls are occupied during the summer months?
Very few, very few. We have a lot of camps and conferences, or at least did prior to the pandemic. But we normally are reduced down to 1 to 2 of our halls.
Buildings, yeah.
Right. Okay.
These are per semester, the housing stuff?
Yes, yes. The food service, the board plans will be going up. That's per our contractual agreement with Aramark, our third party. It's roughly 3%. That's the cost. It's to help them with a couple of things. One, operating costs is the price of food going up, and also the state minimum wage is increasing in January once again. Okay. Concerning various other fees, we're increasing the hot check fee from 25 to 50, our international orientation fee to 100. And that's the last slide I have on tuition and fees. So really not a lot of movement on tuition and fees overall. A little bit on some program fees and just the mandatory HESPA things. We have everything constant as we could to do that. So any questions on tuition and fees?
Just for my knowledge,
Yes.
why is the Law Academy separated out? And
It's a
different?
separate fee. It operates as a different bird, so to speak, because sometimes there are non-degree seeking students in that. Okay.
Is the percentage of increase for in-state residents the same?
Yes. Yes. Which is really to no effect because we offer the Griffin rate, which waives the out of state for any contiguous, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, moving on. The proposed
Do
budget.
you need an approval of that?
No, we'll do it all at one time. if we
Oh,
like.
okay, you're going through.
We
all-
can't
No,
do
no,
it though.
No,
Either
that's
way you'd
okay.
like to do it, or we can just do it all at once.
I
Okay.
think we, I
Okay.
think we.
Let's
need to
go
keep
ahead.
going
Let's go ahead.
because We may have to change that if we don't feel confident in the other.
That's
numbers.
correct. That's correct.
Yep,
Okay. So you want to move on?
yep.
Okay. Before we get into looking at the hard numbers, okay, and they're in your book, let me give you an overview of the major assumptions that this budget is built upon, okay? As we go through this, you will see a line item and you will see an up or down out to the right of it. That is in comparison to last year's original budget. Okay, that's the mark. So let's talk about tuition and fees. The estimate for the upcoming year is $3.8 million below what the original budget was for last year. We all know we did not make that budget and that our total revenues per the FY21 update that you received earlier currently stands actual at 32 million. And that number is higher than what I'm estimating for next year. Why is that? Two things come into play here. Number one, I'm a very conservative in my budgeting. Number two, we are anticipating, and I built this budget upon a flat enrollment for freshmen, okay? While we are working extremely hard, Dr. Mace and her team and others on this campus, the data doesn't support anything else that I've seen thus far to improve that, okay? At this point in time, that may change, okay? The second piece of this, and is a very important component of this, and I know Dr. Kennedy's working with others across campus on this, is retention rate, okay? Every year, we lose students between freshman to sophomore, sophomore to junior, so on and so forth, right? So I've used in this budget, Kathy Gammon, our budget director, and I have used a 3-year rolling average of our retention rate on this campus, okay? One of the things that we also have that hits us a little harder on this is because our enrollment has taken a little bit of a dive over a period of time. We have an extremely large number of seniors this year, okay? So we have also factored in the number of seniors that we think will be returning. They don't have, they're classified as seniors, but maybe they still need 10 hours, 9 hours, something to finish up. So what's that rolling average on those as well? So that's how we built a budget. Overall, this is an 11% decline in tuition and fees from last year's original budget. Okay? We have a lot of work to do to turn this around, okay? And we're working on it extremely hard, and I'll let Dr. Kennedy and others address that. But from a finance standpoint, this is where I believe, this is my best estimate, given the information I have at this point in time. Okay. The second item that this budget assumes is higher education restoration funding, right? COVID funds, COVID-19 relief funds, right? $2.3 million built into the budget. These are funds we know we're going to receive, okay? Auxiliary revenues, $695,000. They're up. Okay, we've got food service revenues that are up. Housing, I'm estimating an 85% occupancy. I'm not as conservative on that one as I had been, but I do not believe that we'll be down in the low 70 percentile range as we were this year. Prior to the pandemic, we were somewhere in the mid 95, around 95, 96% occupancy rate on housing. So I kind of split the difference on that. And then athletics, Dr. Looney has assured me that he is going to beat the Woods. Okay? No. Part of that is though the fact that how many football games did we have last year? How many basketball games did we have capacity on? All those things come into play into this, right? So collectively, we're talking that kind of number. Okay? From the expense side of the house, salaries and compensation went down $1 million. Okay. The key thing I want you on this committee and you as a board, and for those listening and watching across campus, is there are no additional reductions in personnel for next year anticipated. Okay. And the second thing is we have several vacancies that we've held off on for a short period of time that we're looking to fill for the next fiscal year. We have some faculty lines that we need to get filled badly. We had some staffing lines that we need to get filled badly. And so we're working on that. As a matter of fact, Dr. Jones and I were talking about one position he's currently in the midst of trying to get filled, an important faculty position for this fall. The next line, fringe benefits, $84,000 decline. You say, why is it not more than that? Well, we're dealing with another rate increase on staff retirement for Mosier's, for those on that plan. Also, I've tried to anticipate what our health, dental, and vision will increase in January. We have a mid-year renewal on our fringe benefits. So I'm trying to anticipate that and build that into the budget. Supplies and services went up 1.2 overall across the campus. However, there were reductions in some of the departments across campus. And the reason those reductions have happened is because they line up with the reduction in tuition and fees. Okay. It's very simple. As the provost and I visited about numerous times, as we've talked about academic departments on these things, we can't give you what we don't have. And that's kind of where we're at on some of this. Okay. Same thing with travel, 9%. Utilities, we think we're going to be down slightly on utilities. This is based on current usage, and it's also based upon all this new equipment that we put in across campus and how Brian Atkins and his team are managing our operations. Scholarships are going up. That's based on enrollment. There's two key things in this that also attribute to that increase. And that is, number one, the Griffin Guarantee, that this was our first year on that. And that's the automatic renewing scholarship plan for all of our students. So we're looking at that. And the second is the reinstatement of the A+ scholarship for our campus. Okay. So that's an overall increase. Lastly, depreciation. This is 25% of FY 2020's depreciation number. Okay. You say, why are you budgeting depreciation? Because this is where we get reserves. This is where, when something breaks, we have money to fix it. Okay. It's important that we do that. It's important that we have those reserves so that this university never gets in the financial situation that it was in when I arrived. I'll just say it. Okay. That's what this is about. Non-operating revenues, I budgeted 100% of state appropriations. Gift interest income, you can see some of the interest and some reapportionment down through there on some of the other items. All of this being said, here's an overview. This budget summary is right behind the tuition and fee sheets in your budget book. And it brings us down to a balanced budget, $4,277 to the positive. Okay. So it's a balanced budget. Is it all things to all people? Absolutely not. Is it doable? Absolutely. Is it living within our means? Absolutely. Questions or comments?
Harold?
Sir?
You know, when we were in a committee meeting and going through all of this,
Yes.
you know, going back to the travel, and you know, we restricted travel.
We did.
heavily. But there is a point in time, and take me back through on the travel side.
Uh-huh.
Are we going to be able to have more people actually
We,
hit
we,
the road?
well, we anticipate,
Particularly in some,
we anticipate that. We trimmed travel a little bit to get the budget in, but we did not eliminate it by no way, shape or form. We've got to be out on the road recruiting students, doing those sorts of things. Not only that, it's important for staff development,
yes.
and more importantly, it is important for faculty development. Our faculty need to travel, they need to go to conferences, they need to present papers, they need to do those things, and we need to provide the opportunity to do that.
Okay.
Okay. Questions, comments?
I have just a few questions.
Okay.
Sorry. Sales and service of educational departments, what does that mean?
Sales and services of educational departments are generally things we rent out. They're oddball things that we charge, such as parking lots may fall into that, parking fees, I should say.
Why does it say educational departments? No real reason. I mean. they're
No,
just
I mean,
miscellaneous.
educational, it's the normal GASB standard title. So it is
But
that,
even if we weren't educating, would we still have them?
yes.
No.
As a GASB,
I
as
know
a,
you don't like that.
no, it's a question, the answer to the question is yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's the terminology given by the GASB
So they're
board.
not variable really with enrollment.
No, not necessarily,
And
no.
then I understand federal grants and state grants.
Yes.
And all of, and non-government, but
Right.
what is the non-operating grants? Is it just a portion of?
It's just a
those?
portion, the
Okay.
non-operating grants, and this gets back to a distinction from the GASB board. SEOG, Student Educational Opportunity Grants, Pell Grants, and College Work Study Funds classify as non-operating type grants.
Okay.
And they fall below the line, if you will, in the non-governmental. The other portion up top would be like a National Science Foundation grant. It would be the Higher Educational Relief Fund grants, those type of things.
And the federal grant number, which for the new budget is significantly less than last year's
Up top,
budget, yeah. And that's because of CARES Act stuff? or-
could be, yes. If it, depending on if it is more or less, it should be more. I think it was 2 million more if you combine the three of them up top because of CARES Act.
Yeah, I didn't.
It
do
will
that.
be
I
more
mean,
than our revised has been at this point in time, I think.
Federal grant number for
Uh-huh.
this year's budget was 8,098,000, and we're budgeting only 2,471,000, just rounding up.
Well, the 8 million, the 8 million,
So
the
I'm
8 million
assuming it
is
was
the
all that.
SEOG, and those are the things below the line.
Oh, I have those down here. They're 8 million too, but up here. See, right here.
Yes, this is the CARES money.
That's what I figured.
Yes, that's the
why
CARES
it's
money.
so
Yes,
different.
you're absolutely right. That's why. And as we revise our budget throughout the year with the release of the emergency rescue plan funds, those numbers will continue to increase throughout the year.
And then this is just again, an educational question for
Uh-huh,
me.
uh-huh.
But maybe someone else needs to know too. How do we delineate or separate or differentiate gifts that come through this set of financials versus the foundation? Is there criteria for that, or is it just?
The foundation, any donations given to the university flow through the foundation. They handle any gift
Okay.
revenue on behalf of
So
that.
then-
We have an agreement with them.
Okay.
They're a separate
Better be nice
nonprofit
to 'em then,
organization.
huh?
Huh?
We better be nice to them then, huh?
Yeah, we should. We'll be nice to them.
So these numbers come from the foundation?
Yes,
to the
some
university.
of them do. Yes, some, not all of those in there, but
Okay.
yes. We also have some non-governmental monies, grants and gifts that come in those lines
Okay,
that come from Buchanan County's been very supportive of the university with providing some funds. Also, the city has been very supportive of us in helping us with some joint partnerships on some things. And so those numbers are in there as well. Yes.
I just want to go to the comments side of this.
Okay.
Like I said, we as a committee, in our committee meetings, had a lot of discussion, and we were very consistent. I'm going to speak for myself and my colleagues, in asking you questions concerning the fact, if we're going to err on one side or the other, we're going to err on the conservative side of it, to the point. So we are hopeful that, in fact, we will see more income come in at a point in time. But one of the here, all of us have come from businesses. You see some businesses that go the different direction, and the majority of the time, that's a real problem for them because if it goes the other way. So to the point of the people that are watching this, I want to say, we believe we have been not just realistic, but conservative in our analysis.
I would agree with that. I'm hopeful that with some of the additional cost and things that not just this university, but other universities are facing across the state, I think the legislature is cognizant of that. I think they're working diligently, trying to find additional resources. Governor Parsons, his office, been very supportive of us. Our legislative group, they've been tremendous to support us, and we're very much appreciative of them. And those that often tell me, well, I don't live exactly in your district, but I'm very supportive of you, have been great for us. And so we appreciate that. And I want to give them a shout out. So.
what are the risks in this budget, in your opinion? What could go wrong? It's fine if you say nothing, but I would just like to know.
That the biggest risk I see are that enrollment is even worse than what I anticipate. Okay, that's number one.
Which then impacts housing,
Would impact housing.
and we
This-
factored in the decrease in enrollment in the housing number we have in here at
Yes.
85%
Yes.
occupancy.
Yes, yes. Those two. The third thing that I think would, the other risk that we have is that state sales tax revenues and income tax revenues drop. And there is a major withhold on state appropriations for the next year.
Is
Those are
that-
the big factors.
Would that also impact the state appropriations capital, not understanding the state at all? So let me say that.
Yeah, no.
Is that
That's
related?
Yeah, it's a capital lottery is what that is.
Okay.
Okay, those are lottery funds. Yes, if people quit gambling, that would
Not gonna
impact
happen.
it. Okay,
And so then my last question.
would you
is-
like to bet on that? Governor Norton?
I have heard that within 24 hours of the stimulus checks, the lottery sales 10x.
Oh, really?
Ticket sales,
Wow.
scratch offs.
As a taxpayer, I really appreciate that.
Yes, of
So-
course.
And we're getting part of the money back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
The top state appropriations capital and then the capital outflow
Mhm.
are different.
Two different things.
Yeah.
Two
So
different
do-
things.
Do we have an obligation from the lottery money to spend it on capital? Oh,
Not
praise
on
the
that
Lord.
one. Not on that. We do not.
That
not on
that
that.
ends my question.
Okay, well, that's great. Those are great questions. Very good.
I was curious about insurance. Have we been, do we have a number?
We do not have a number for the new year yet. I have increased it. We took a large increase last year on insurance, and so we're doing that. I have tried, if we're talking about property insurance
Right,
primarily
right.
there, That's one issue. The other issue is I've tried to build into this budget to cover us for a couple of things in the fringe rates, one of which is not only the Mosier's increase, but health, dental, employee cost associated with that.
I was more interested in the property.
Yeah.
Understand the other.
We've done that. We're in a consortium with some other universities and things like that. So we drive a pretty hard bargain.
Right.
Okay. Other questions?
One last question. Before I think that the tuition increase is right decision,
Uh-huh.
is there normalcy in higher education institutions of the ratio of scholarships to tuition? I don't know if I'm asking
Yes,
that right.
you are. You're asking about a discount raise. You're asking about a discount
I
rate.
mean, I
And
look at
yes,
it as that's your gross
and
margin.
I will to answer that question, our discount rate, I think, is a little high. Okay. There are a couple of factors that come into discount rates. One of which is, what does it cost to play? And what I mean by that is, as a student, you look for the best deal. Who's giving me the best, right? So as you're out recruiting, you have to take that into consideration. So what are the people that we're competing for students with? What are they doing? What are they offering? So we have to be cognizant of that. But on the flip side, one of the things that the Griffin Guarantee does is try to get that more at a levelized number for the university. So our discount rate should start going down over a period of time, because a lot of the students that we have under an old scholarship plan will be falling off. Okay. So we've got a couple of things at work at this point in time on that.
And putting the A+ program back in place, which I understand.
Yes,
Totally.
yes.
From past experiences, are we feel confident that that ratio won't adjust, if you will?
Right. And we truly believe all the data that we've looked at and some of the conversations and outlying things that we have looked at as well, and had conversations, I should say, seem to indicate that us eliminating that last year crippled our freshman class, okay, particularly with a lot of our local students. And so beat the band. A+ is back. Tell everybody, you know, put a bumper sticker on your car, right? So it's important. All right. And the net, I will tell you, Governor Norton, that the net impact of those students is positive. For every one of those students that we would get because of A+, it's a positive cash flow for us. Okay.
Any more questions or comments? So
I'd like to say two things. Number one, I lost a bet. I knew I couldn't get through this in an hour. I thought I could, but I
Well, it's
didn't
my
quite make
fault.
it.
I take full
I didn't quite make it.
responsibility for answering
And for a
asking
Southern guy, I was
questions.
talking as fast as I could go, okay? The second thing is, and I want her to stand up. She's joining us for this committee meeting, and she'll be going back to work. But Kathy Gammon has worked countless hours helping and putting this budget together. She is our budget director, okay? I'm just a showman. I really don't know what I'm talking about. She's doing the work, okay? And I can't tell you how much I appreciate her and others on our team that have put all these financials together. And I just want you to, if you would. Governor Landis, with that being said, motion to approve would be great.
Just a point of order. We have two separate motions. I
Right.
would approve the first that you were dealing with the tuition and then do the other piece.
Yes.
Well, that's the way I was tend. And, but I do agree with where Governor Norton was. I think before we got to that, we needed to understand all the rest of it to make sure where we were
Sure.
at. So,
Absolutely.
with that said, can I get a motion of approval for the tuition and et cetera, et cetera?
So move.
Second,
Uh, So I'm going to beg, or I'm not going to beg for the question. I'm going to ask for the question. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So moved.
Thank you. And then
So
the,
approved.
and then a motion to approve the university budget for fiscal year 21-22.
Okay, likewise, I would like to entertain a motion of approval of the budget.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. So call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So approved.
Okay, thank you, Governor Landis. We can adjourn, I think, unless someone has other things.
It's,
As far as we're concerned, we're done.
okay, then we're adjourned.
Okay.